We have a very interesting and excellent shiur for tonight. This is one of the hardest, saddest parashiot in all of the Torah. This is the parasha where Am Yisrael loses Eretz Yisrael. We were supposed to go straight from Egypt in Eretz Yisrael. Instead, now we have a long derech of 40 years, and we're going to be now seeing why that happened. And hopefully we're going to make it very interesting along the way. So let's jump on in. The water is fine. Ein mayim ela Torah. Everywhere where Torah is mentioned, everywhere where water is mentioned, it's for the Torah. So let's jump on in. Vaydiber Adonai Moshe lemor, and the Lord said to Moshe, and that he said, Shalach lecha anashim v'yaturu et Eretz Canaan, asher ani noten livnei Yisrael ish echad lemate avotav. Then we are going to go out and we're going to scout out the land of Canaan, and you send one man from every tribe, and send them, every one of the tribal leaders from them. Vayishlach otam Moshe mimidbar Paran al pi Adonai kulam anashim rashi bnei Yisrael. And he sent them, Moshe sent them into the desert of Paran, from the desert of Paran, according to what the Kadosh Baruch Hu commanded. Everyone was anashim. Rashi says they were anashim, they had importance, they were tzaddikim, they knew Torah, they were learning Torah, they were leaders in their community. Rashi b'nei Yisrael, the heads of the sons of Israel, they were. Ve'eli shemotam, lemate Ruvain, Shamua ben Zakor, lemate Shimon, Shafat ben Hori, lemate Yehuda, Kaleb ben Yefuneh, lemate Yisachar, Yigal ben Yosef, lemate Ephraim, Hoshea ben Nun, lemate Binyamin, Palti ben Rafu, lemate Zevulun, Gadiel ben Zodi, lemate Yosef, lemate Menashe, Gadi ben Susi, lemate Dan, Amiel ben Gamali, lemate Asher, Sator ben Michael, lemate Naftali, Nachbi ben Vafsi, lemate Gad, Geuel ben Machi. Eli Shemot Anashim Asher Shalach Moshe. These are the names of the people that Moshe sent out. The Torah Ta'aretz Vayikra Moshe Hoshea ben Nun Yoshua, and Moshe called to Hoshea Yoshua, added the letter Yud to the front of his name. The Gemara says in Masechet Sotah Lamed on the 34th page on the second side, Rabbi Yitzchak said that we received a tradition in our hands from our fathers. Anywhere where the Gemara says we have minhag mesoret avotenu beyadenu, or kibanu mesoret me'avotenu, or anything of the like, that means this is something that we received halakha Moshe Sinai. All the way goes all the way back to Moshe Rabbeinu himself. That the spies were named according to their actions. However, we only know that Sator ben Michael. Why? Because he was sudar, he disagreed. Soter, in the language of soter, to disagree with the actions of Kadosh Baruch Hu. And Michael, because he made himself mach, he did himself victimized and hated and lowered himself, but to make himself look like a victim in a negative way. Rabbi Yochanan said, we also have Nachbi ben Vafsi, that hid the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Vafsi, because he took a pisiyah, he stepped over the traits of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And Rashi explains there that his report of what he saw when he scouted out the land, he didn't report everything he saw, and even the things that he did see, he didn't report it exactly how he saw it. He changed details, he added details, he conveniently forgot details. So some things he didn't tell at all, and the things that he did tell were incomplete or distorted, so that he was trying to get his message across. Now, the first thing that we want to talk about is, one, we have 12 spies here, and the Gemara only knows 2. In the days of the Gemara, they already said we had a tradition of 12. And now the secrets of these names, the drashot of these names that we got from Moshe Rabbeinu, down to 2. Only 2 are left that we remember. And so what we're going to try to do tonight is go over all the names and take out rekindle and relearn these secrets and these drashot that were part of it. But first, how much Torah has been lost over the years? How many books have been written that are just completely disappeared? Everyone knows that we had this amazing Geulah in the last 100 years, that everyone was coming back to Eretz Yisrael, and everyone was coming with all their books. And even before the state of Israel, there were already many Jews coming back to Eretz Yisrael. And there were many Jews coming back, Sephardi Jews and Sephardi rabbis were coming back particularly to Yeshivat Porat Yosef, which is in the Old City, or in the Old City until this day. Now, of course, what happened in the Independence War? The Jordanians conquered the Old City, and they burnt the yeshiva to the ground. And not only the yeshiva. When you say yeshiva, yeshiva is not just stones and wood. It's the people and it's the books inside. Because all the people who were coming back to Eretz Yisrael brought books with them. Brought books with them that had not seen the light of day in many generations. And all of a sudden these books were now going to be in a yeshiva and going to get studied. With people like Rav Ovadia Yosef, with people like Rabbanim, like Rab Ben Zion Abba Shaul, for the first time we'd get to go over them and see them, and just as they got there, they were burned. How much Torah has been lost? The Masechet Avodah Zarah of Avraham Avinu had hundreds of chapters. We have just 6 Sidrei Mishnah. We know that there were tens of Sidrei Mishnah once, that all of our Hachamim over the generations forgotten, until Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi, what got to him, he could only write 6. How much Torah has been lost? But how much Torah has also been found? In the last generation, so much Torah has been rediscovered. The Meiri, for example, was a book that we only knew existed because it was cited in other sources. We didn't have it. And all of a sudden it got found. Other books like that are just, all of a sudden we find them in Genizot, we find them in other places, and now we have them. We have them again, Baruch Hashem, and they're being learned again, and they're being published again, and Bezrat Hashem, there'll be a full Geulah, not for just Am Yisrael, but also for the Chokhmah, also for the wisdom of Yisrael, that all these books that are lost will be rediscovered and reprinted. And so as we stated, we want to go through what the Gemara describes as every one of these names has a deep drasha in it, has a deep meaning. And we know that, what was the big sin that happened here with the Meraglim? What was the big sin? Lashon Hara. Lashon Hara was, out of all the things that happened in the desert, you had the Egel, you had the Am Yisrael complaining about water, about food, about their desires, wanting to chase after their desire for meat. What was the thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you know what, you guys aren't going in the Eretz Yisrael, the Lashon Hara. And who were they talking the Lashon Hara about? Am Yisrael. And that's why this Parashat, if you open up the Me'am Loez says that this Parashat happened after Korach. After the episode with Korach, which we're not going to read until next week, this happened this episode. So why did the Torah? We know that the Torah is not bound by the chronological order of events. The Torah can bring events in different orders. That's a well-known law that Rashi says. So why did the Torah choose to change the order? Because it wanted to put it together with the last Parashat, because the last Parashat ended with Miriam, a Neviah, and Aharon Kohen speaking Lashon Hara on Moshe Rabbeinu. And even though they had good kavanah, they had good intentions, they still came out Lashon Hara. And that's something that we can see, that even someone has good intentions, they can still get trapped up in Lashon Hara. And these 10 people who spoke Lashon Hara, Al Eretz Yisrael, and they didn't have good intentions. They had intentions for their own. That these people's intentions was bad, What did they want? They wanted to secure their own power. They wanted to secure their own positions. They didn't want to go into Eretz Yisrael, and there would be a dispersion of power, and they would lose out on their own kavod, on their own honor. And so it was all ga'ava. It was all driven by lack of humility and chasing after leadership and power. And all the more so that they did the Lashon Hara. As Miriam and Neviah that did the Lashon Hara, L'Shem Shamayim Kiviyachol, as it were. All the more so these that did the Lashon Hara, that was not L'Shem Shamayim, that was for their own growing of their name and the own growing of their everything. All the more so that this is going to cause the Gezerah, this is going to cause the Pasak Halacha that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying, not going into Eretz Yisrael. There's going to be 40 years. This generation cannot go in. They're going to die in the desert and their children will go in, but they are not going to go in. And it's a very difficult parashat when you think about it. We are Olim primarily in this group. The people who are watching online and the people who are in here are Olim. And there's even a good friend of ours that had almost kicked out of Eretz Yisrael, and when he had the amazing blessing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu fought for him, Mamash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself fought for him that he could stay here. And we see that someone who talks Lashon Hara in Eretz Yisrael, it doesn't take long for them to get kicked out. They say, it's hard to live here, it's dangerous, there's terrorists, the taxes are high, everything. Might be true, but Lashon Hara is true. So those people, it doesn't take long before they're kicked out. All of a sudden, there's some reason they can't stay here. And I saw that even with Yerushalayim, that the same thing goes for Yerushalayim. It's packed, they're always building, there's too many people, the public transportation isn't good. And all of a sudden, they get moved out. I have a friend who was a Sadiq. I'm not saying he's not a Sadiq, but he bought a house. And he was lucky enough to buy a house, Baruch Hashem, but he decided to buy a house outside of Jerusalem. I said, why did you buy a house outside of Jerusalem? Because he said, I could buy a bigger house. With the budget I had, I could buy a bigger house outside of Jerusalem. But he's still a young couple, so he's not ready to move into a big house yet. And so he was renting out his house. All of a sudden, the person who gave him the loan for his down payment. And so as we stated, Am Yisrael is on the borders of Eretz Yisrael, and they're about to go in, and they get turned away. Why? Because they didn't want Eretz Yisrael. If you don't want Eretz Yisrael, if you don't fight for her, you can't have her. This is a land that is so amazing. For 2,000 years, she sat empty. There was literally no one here. Where there was water, it was swamps and malaria and mosquitoes, and the rest of the land was desert. Nothing grew here. The Jewish people came back, and it just flourished. And if we do tshuva, full tshuva, then it's going to flourish even more. And we're going to...
Sorry.
If we do full tshuva, it's going to flourish anymore. Like the Mayam Loez says, that we have the opportunity, just as Caleb and Yoshua brought back a cluster of grapes that took 2 people to lift it up with boards, that we can have that. That's not something that was just of that generation. That can be in our generation, but it's dependent on our tshuva. And so, let's start going through these names. And we're going to try to connect them with Lashon Hara, because that was the ultimate sin that caused this terrible gezerah. So the first one we have Shamua ben Zakor. Shamua ben Zakor from Shevet Reuven. And just as we say Shamua in the language of to listen, and just as it's forbidden to tell Lashon Hara, it's forbidden also to hear Lashon Hara. And not just that, one who hears Lashon Hara and he believes it is worse than someone who says it. There was once a story of a person, and he had a coin collection. Now this is a few tens of years ago when precious metals were more valuable, and people saved a lot of their money by collecting coins. And so he had a few coins that he would use as that was his savings. He was going to pay for his children's wedding with that. And he had this one coin that was the basis of his whole savings. And what did he do? one day, his wife says, I need a vacation. So he says, okay, let's leave the kids here. They're old enough that, they can watch each other. They're older teenagers now, and, they can watch the younger ones. So let's go on a vacation, you and me. Him and the wife go. All of a sudden, the kids say, let's go get candy. What do kids do as soon as mom and dad leave the house? Candy. That's the first thing. Let's go get candy. We're unsupervised for the first time in a few years. Let's just go nuts in the candy shop. So what do? They go in and they find this silver coin that's worth thousands of dollars, thousands of shekels, and they go in they're walking down the way, and they come back, big candy. Now what happens? The dad gets home, and he says, first thing he does, he goes to check on the money. Make sure everything's in its place. He sees that the coin is gone. Calls in the kids, where's the coin? Says, Abba, we wanted candy, we went into your safe, we found the coin. Now it looks like just a regular coin. They didn't know that it was silver, that it was really worth a lot of money. So they went and they bought candy with this expensive coin. And the father is livid. But he's not just mad at the kids. They made an honest mistake. This looks like a regular coin to them. But he went to the candy shop owner, said, how did you take from these kids this coin? You know that this coin is worth a lot of money. You're a stealer. You robbed them. They innocently came to you with this money, and they thought it was worth less than it's really worth, and you knew exactly what it was worth, and you were happy to give them as much candy as they wanted, because you knew no matter how much candy they took, it wouldn't even come close to this coin. You stole from them. And you stole from me. And the store owner says, I have no idea what you're talking about. He says, these kids came in and bought candy from you? I said, yeah, I remember. They bought a few gumballs, a few gummy worms. And what did they pay? They paid with money. Then where's that money? It's here in the cash register. Take a look. The coin wasn't there, of course. So he says, you robbed us. You stole from us. And so, what does he say? Goes in, prints a bunch of posters, flyers. The store owner of this candy shop store owner is a robber. He stole from me. Don't buy from him. And he drove the man out of business. And not just that. Then someone came along after a few months, knocked on the door, said, hello, how are you? Says, I'm good. What can I do for you? Says, I would like to do mitzvat hashavat avedah, returning a lost item. The father says, whoa, I don't know what you're talking about. He says, is this your coin? He says, yeah, where'd you find it? He says, I'll tell you where I found it. I saw your kids walking down the street with this coin on the way to the candy shop. I asked them, hey, where are you guys going with that? I recognized the coin, that it had serious value. And they said, we're going to go buy some candy with it. I knew this coin could buy the whole candy shop and the store owner and the building and everything. So I said, hey, I'll give you guys a few extra money. It's going to be easier for you guys to pay for it. Give me the coin. I bought it from them, and now I'm here to return it. Ooh. I just drove that guy out of business with the flyers. Oy, not good. Not good. Bad Lashon Hara. But where does it get even worse? They asked one of the Rabbanim of Yerushalayim, who here is at fault? Who is like going to get to the Beit Din of Shamayim, get to the judgment in Shamayim, and they're going to tell him, look, this wasn't clean, but you're good. You wasn't clean, but you're good. Everything fell on you. Obviously not the store owner. The store owner didn't do anything, and he got most of the blame. He went through very difficult times because of this. The guy who took the coin, how he acted was not correct, but he did tshuva. He returned it. The guy who published the posters and said you shouldn't do business with this person because he steals, also him. Also him. What did he do? He felt like he got stolen. No one proved him he didn't get stolen from them. Everything was pointing that the store owner stole from him. And he felt that it was his responsibility to publish this, that people would know that he got robbed by this guy, even though he was wrong. They asked the Rav, who's to blame? And the Rav said, the people of Yerushalayim. Because they heard this Lashon Hara and they believed it. They should have investigated, they should have went after it, they should have dug down. What's really going on? They were an independent third party. They had no emotions tied into this event. They could have sat down and thought very straight. The store owner, he has his own emotions. The father of the children, he has his own emotions. He's very wound up by it. No one can give a proper judgment. The people of Yerushalayim could have sat down and said, what is really correct? What is the truth here? But they believe this Lashon Hara, and it caused this person's store to get closed, chas v'shalom. Now, someone who hears you, and that's how we know that someone who hears Lashon Hara and they believe it and they act on it is even worse than someone who says it. Now, where's the name Zakor? Zakor is the language of Zachor, to remember or to remind. And so you Lashon Hara, once a person gets it, they go on and they continue to spread it. They remind, they always are bringing it up. Did you hear what happened? Did you hear what happened? Oh, I just got this juicy tip from Ruvain. I'm going to go tell the Levi. Levi, guess what Ruvain told me? Goes and passes it around. The next one is Yigal ben Yosef. Why? Yigal, because when you say Lashon Hara, it's migalgel very fast. It spreads very fast. It moves around very fast. And Ben Yosef, because it always gets added on, like a game of telephone. So Reuven says to Levi, hey, I saw Shimon, and he was doing something questionable. All of a sudden, something questionable that might have been good, might have not bad. All of a sudden, he's like the worst guy ever, the biggest Rasha ever. He did one little thing. And that's why our Hachamim say that if you see a Sadiq, you know someone's a Sadiq, and he doesn't know, you see him doing Avirah, and then you should know that he did Tshuva immediately. He failed, it happens. But he did Tshuva. But what happens when people say Lashon Hara and they get into it, they start adding details. They start if this happened, this must have. They start inferring things that weren't there. Balti bin Rafu, that sometimes someone gets Lashon Hara, they can't even control it. They can't even control themselves. How important it is to learn our midot and to work on our midot. That when we have information about another person, as soon as Reuven gets to Levi, he can't wait to tell him what happened to Shimon. He can't even control himself to stop himself. It just comes out. He's maflit in the language to laflit the information. And Rafu, because we can see that this guy, Rafu, in the language of refuah, in the language of healing, and so someone who has Lashon Hara spoken about them is going to need spiritual or physical or financial healing, as the store owner in the story that we told. And also, if you know you're like this, if you know you speak uncontrollably. I have a very good friend of mine. He once told me, he said, I can't stop talking. No matter what I do, I cannot stop talking. So I said, that's a problem. Lashon Hara. Lo matzati leguf tov ela shtika. I didn't find anything in the Masechet Avot. I never found anything that was good for the body except for being quiet, silent, not speaking. Better not to speak. If you're not sure to speak, what to say, better not to. All good, no problems. He said, I got this problem that I always talk. And I said, well, what's the refuah? What's the solution? He says, I always have 5 or 6 or more divrei Torah ready to go. Someone starts talking to me, and I just can't go in. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, now the Lashon Hara is going to start. He says, no, not in Lashon Hara. Hey, did you hear what happened on this week's Parashat? Did you hear this Halacha? Did you hear? Look at this thing I learned from my Rav. This says Musar. This says Chasidut. Whatever it may be. He always had a few divrei Torah ready to go that he could throw into a conversation so that he never would get stuck without something to talk about. The next one that we have is Gadiel ben Sodi. Gadiel ben Sodi, because when someone speaks Lashon Hara, what do? They're magid. They're telling Sodot, secrets. And that's also the next one, Gadi ben Sodi, Gadi ben Susi. That Susi, what's a sus? A sus is a horse. And so when someone starts selling secrets, you think you're just telling to one person? That's right. It's running like a horse. It's already going out. It's spreading out in every direction uncontrollably. Then you have Amiel ben Gamali. Amiel ben Gamali. So Amiel, because you can actually speak Lashon Hara on an entire nation. Americans, they're all the same. They just love their hamburgers. All they do is eat, and they have money, and they're rich. That's Lashon Hara. Now go and ask forgiveness from every American Jew. 6 million American Jews. You just spoke Lashon Hara on 6 million. Go talk to everyone. I'm sorry, I spoke Lashon Hara on Americans. Please forgive me on your 1 and 6 millionth part of that Lashon Hara that I spoke. So you can see it's very difficult. All the jokes, Parsim, Temanim, Ashkenazim. All these jokes can be very serious. You just spoke Lashon Hara, an entire group of people. Now you have to go to each and every one and ask forgiveness. And Gamali. We have 2 pirushim for Gamali. The Gamali is, one, it's the name which is a Gamal. And so as we said, a horse goes very fast, a Gamal can go very far. And so once you start speaking Lashon Hara, all of a sudden it gets all the way across the country. And I even saw that once, that I worked at a summer camp of the Boy Scouts. And the Boy Scouts, they had these jokes that they would love to tell. And so they would tell jokes about the tree. That this tree is the masculine version, and this is the feminine version, and this one has one smell, and this has the other smell. And they told one year they told us you have to stop saying this. Why do we have to stop saying it? Because I was on the other side of the country, and someone told me this. Someone told me with nothing to do with the summer camp, where we're the ones who invented this joke, came and told me it. So you see how one joke can spread all the way around. Yeah, it's very far, like a camel. And the other thing is that Lashon Hara is something that's gemul. It's something that's given over. It's something that I can trade. It is value. You know, you want to get in with a group of friends, and they're not the best people. What do? You find one person to put down. You say, hey guys, nice to meet you all. Let's see this guy. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. Oh, terrible guy. This guy. Oh, really? You say that? Oh, wow. Good to know. Thanks for telling us. Go, roll with us. Next we have Geuel ben Machi. Geuel is the language of Geula, redemption. The Churban of Beit HaMikdash, the destruction of Beit HaMikdash. And the exile of the Jewish people was caused by what? Sinatin, chinam, baseless hatred. People hating one and the other. And so how do we bring Geula? It's the exact opposite. We stop speaking the Lashon Hara, and we start speaking Ahavat Chinam. We start saying nice things about other people, even if we have no reason to. Even if we don't like them. We find a way to love them. That's what we're going to do to bring the Geula. We want to cause Geula. We want Mashiach to come. You have to love your fellow Jew. You have to go out of your way to love him. Even if you don't. He's not the best guy. He's got what to work on. You have to love him no matter what. And machi in the language of makah, that is to give a hit. And so when someone says Lashon Hara, it's like they're giving a physical hit to a person. And that's what we say. That Lashon Hara, we say, is worse than through the 3 worst sins. The 3 worst sins in the Torah, that if someone comes in and says, violate the Shabbat, or I'm going to kill you. Chas v'shalom. Okay? Bring a lighter. I'll violate the Shabbat. If it's the Shabbat or my life, the Torah says I have to give my life. Shabbat is very important. Torah says my life is more important. Someone comes in and says, eat lobster, or I'm going to kill you. I say, okay. Can I at least have it with, some sort of sauce or something? I don't know. You're making me eat this weird crustacean, this ocean bug. Like, I don't know how you people eat it. Can I please eat it with something? Someone comes in and says, bow down to this idol. I say, you know what? Give me the bullet. Give it to me. I want the bullet. Why? Because the Torah says on this thing, someone says, I'm going to take your life if you don't bow down to this idol. You have to give your life. The same thing for Gilu Arayot. for forbidden relationships, whether it's men and men or incest or whatever it may be, any of those disgusting things. No, give me the bullet. I choose the bullet. And the last one is murder. Someone comes in, says, if you don't kill this person, I'm going to kill you. Say, you got to kill me because I'm not killing them. The Torah says I can't kill them. And worse than all of those, and that's hinted here in the name of Guel ben Machi. Shemachi, as we said, was Makkah. Makkah, like Shefichat Arim, like beating someone to death, is worse than all that is Lashon Hara. That is what's brought in the Gemara. Why? Because when you do the Lashon Hara, it's like you kill someone. It's like you kill 3 people. The person who speaks Israel Kohen on the Lashon Hara. Now, there's 2 of the spies. If you notice, if you've been counting, we didn't mention. We have Caleb ben Yefune and we have Yoshua ben Nun. Caleb is Kilev, like the heart, and like the heart. And these were the 2 good spies that came back and gave an honest and true and good report of Eretz Yisrael. So if you be like a heart, that just like someone can keep their deepest secrets inside of their heart, be trustworthy. Be trustworthy to a person that if someone confides something in you, that they know that they can trust you, that you won't tell their secrets. And Yefune is from the language of lefanot, to take out, to make empty. And so keep yourself free of Lashon Hara. Keep whether it's your mouth or it's your ears, keep Lashon Hara away. And we also see that Kelev, that lev, like the heart, that when you speak, you should have the same thing that's going on in your heart is what's coming out of your mouth. You're not saying something that is not true, or is bending the truth, or changing the truth, or you're trying to get something, and so you're withholding details, or you're changing details, or you're putting the emphasis of the details in a different place. And all the more so, being just true to other people. And the last one, we have Yoshua ben Nun, that Yoshua is Yeshuot, salvation. And salvation, just as salvation, a person can cause salvation with their mouth, by not speaking the Lashon Hara, by keeping the Torah and praying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bring us Geulah, bring us Yeshua, whether it's a personal Yeshua, to get a shidduch, to get a job, to get a wife, to have children, or it's a general Yeshua. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bring us back to Eretz Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, give us Mashiach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, build Beit HaMikdash. And if we do that, how do we be zocheh to that? We have to be Nun. Yoshua ben Nun. How do we be Nun? Nun Rashi Tevot, Naaseh v'Nishma. The acronym Nun is Naaseh v'Nishma. We will do and we will hear what we have to do. When Am Yisrael received the Torah, they didn't say, what's written in it. Kadosh Baruch Hu sent an angel around to all the other nations, and they said, well, what's written in the Torah? Before we accept the Torah, we got to know what's the terms and conditions. Am Yisrael said, no. Like you're signing up for an account on a website, we're not reading the terms and conditions, X, we accept. Whatever's written there, we're doing. That's how we have to be with Kadosh Baruch Hu. And I have a very good friend of mine that learns at the Or Sameach Yeshiva, and he came to Eretz Yisrael. He was not observing Torah, and he was Naaseh v'Nishma. That was his mindset. He came here. What do I have to do? Oh, I have to keep Shabbat. Great, let's do it. What does that mean? Oh, no using phone, no doing that. Okay. What else do I have to do? Tefillah. Great, I'm doing it. What does that mean? Oh, 3 times a day. All the correct way to pray. Face Jerusalem. Amidah, quiet Amidah. And so if we're Naaseh v'Nishma, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will give us Yeshuot. As B'ezrat Hashem, all of Israel is going to do Naaseh v'Nishma and do Tshuva Shelema, and all of us together will have the Zechut, have the merit to not speak Lashon Hara, to have Ahavat Hinam, and in that is how we're going to be meriting the Geulah Shelema Sheyavo B'ezrat Hashem Mehra B'Yameinu. Amen v'Amen.